If you are a runner dealing with hip pain, you are not alone. I am here to tell you that many runners are making this huge mistake and it's likely not what you think. And if we haven't met yet, hi, I'm Dr. Sarah, aka the Hip Doc. I'm a physical therapist and endurance coach, and in today's video, I want to break down one of the biggest mistakes that I see runners making who are trying to get out of hip pain. One of the most common complaints I get is soreness or tightness into the anterior aspect of their hip or their hip flexor. Hip flexor is a bundle of muscles that actually attaches into the anterior aspect of our low back, comes and spans down into the front of the hip and attaches into the front of the hip, and it acts to pull the hip up into this position or pull the leg forward into that position. Here comes the biggest mistake. This might be you. The biggest mistake I see is that people with tight hip flexors just want to stretch the literal heck out of their hip flexors. And I think the reason that they're continuing to have a soreness and tightness into their hip flexors is because they're not stretching it enough. I'm here to tell you that if stretching was going to work, probably would have worked this far. Here are 3 alternative options to hip flexor stretching that I like to do for my hip. Exercise number 1 is a glute bridge, a very simple move but turns on the glutes and low back, which can decrease hip flexor tightness through a principle of opposites. It's easy to control and I like to focus on my back not arching. Next is a side plank variation. This gets my lateral stabilizers into my hip, low back, and core. These are helper muscles to the hip flexors, and training on the side like this helps to switch up the stimulus the body gets from running forwards all the time. Last and most advanced is a bear plank with taps. I love this because we get some challenge to the hip flexors and quads, but also requires a ton of stability into the back and hips, challenging the hip flexors to not over-recruit. Also worth noting that the anterior aspect of your hip where you might be feeling that tightness has a lot of different structures. There's muscle, there's bone, there's the joint, there's cartilage, there's tendon, there's ligaments. If you are continuing to experience tightness or soreness into the anterior part of your hip, it is so worth it to go to a local physical therapist and get this checked out for yourself. If you liked today's video and you want more content on decreasing hip tightness, feel free to check out the show notes for some of my favorite resources.